On July 4th, 2025, Kerr County, Texas, was hit by a massive storm system that unleashed relentless rain across the region. The scale of this event was extremely rare. According to a post-event analysis from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, also known as NOAA, the flood exceeded a 1 in 1,000 year annual exceedance probability, meaning this magnitude of rainfall and river surge is expected less than 0.1% of the year on average. Multiple counties, including Kerr County, were later covered under disaster declarations at state and federal level. This is number 3 of 7 special episodes in our series honoring the men and women who responded to the rescue and relief efforts during that catastrophic event. Welcome to the Real ResQ Podcast, part of Vertical Helicast family, alongside the Hangar Z Podcast, the Helicopter Podcast, Valor Flight Crew Podcast, and Vertical MRO Podcast. Discover every one of their shows at verticalhelicast.com. I'd especially like to say thank you to Vertical Magazine and all the other sponsors who made the in-person interviews possible for this series. This includes Breeze Eastern, the world's only dedicated helicopter hoist and winch provider. Learn more at breeze-eastern.com. Axness, robust, reliable, integrated, mission-ready communication. Learn more at axness.com. Ready Bar. This isn't just a snack bar. This is a mission-ready meal bar. Because one bar equals one meal. Learn more at getreadybar.com. And when you check out, use the promo code RESQ10 to get 10% off. Plus, quick mention of the Real ResQ store. Get all your swag and support this podcast even further at therealresqstore.com. It is now time to kick off part 3 of this 7-part series with 2 Texas Task Force 1 helicopter search and rescue technicians. One of them is a father of 3 daughters. He's been on a helicopter for the last 15 years as a flight medic and critical care nurse. He also has a little side gig of a cut-your-own Christmas tree farm. The other guy, also married with 3 children. He started his career journey by completing EMT and Fire Academy in 2005. And when given the choice between boats or Helo, from Hurricane Harvey to Kerrville, he always ends up on the boat for the big ones. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Bryan Winchell and Cliff Patrick. My name is Jason Quinn. I am United States Coast Guard Rescue Swimmer number 500. These are my rescues and rescues from those of us that put our lives on the line every day so others may live. This is the Real ResQ Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Real ResQ Podcast. I have the honor of having a couple guys with me from Texas Task Force 1. Now, the reason I'm here, and actually I should say that I am here in person in Austin, Texas. We just did some epic training, actually. It was totally freaking gnarly. You guys were out there hanging from the hook. You saved me out of a tree. Appreciate it. Saved me off of a picnic bench. That was great. We're going to get into that in a minute. But ladies and gentlemen, I've got Mr. Bryan Winchell. What's up, Bryan?
Hey, how are you? Thanks for having us, Jason.
Heck yeah, man. And you are a helicopter search and rescue tech or swimmer.
Yeah, that's right. With Texas Task Force 1.
Right on. And our other guy, Cliff Patrick.
Yes.
What's up, Cliff? Good to see you.
Good to see you. Thanks for having us.
Right on. Same thing. Helicopter search and rescue technician and or swimmer.
That's right.
Interchangeable, I guess, roles and or names.
Yeah, whatever name you want to use that day.
That's awesome. Well, listen, I appreciate you guys coming on. One of the reasons we are here, I want to shout out to Trevor down at the end of the table. Thanks, buddy. Thanks for helping us out. That's awesome. We're here because you guys did an amazing job on the 4th of July weekend at Kerrville when you had some major floodings. Waters rose up to like 30 feet plus. Mm-hmm. And then just after that went 30 feet down, like immediately. So before we get into that, what I'd like to do is just give me a little background about you guys. Brian, if you don't mind, just start where you're from and how did you get hooked up with Texas Task Force One?
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for setting this up. There, being part of the state response, there are so many agencies that play a role in the state of Texas when it comes to search and rescue. And it's cool with Texas Task Force One, we kind of sit in the middle and get to see a lot of people operating, and it's cool to be a part of it. So thanks for meeting with all the different players this week.
Well, you know what? Let me emphasize on that a little bit more, because there were, I got to give a shout out to the U.S. Coast Guard at this moment in time, because their media team blew that up, and the Coast Guard was a part of this, but they were a part of this. There are so many other agencies that responded to Kerrville, so many other players that were involved. So you guys specifically, Texas DPS, the Fish and Game, or known as the Wardens, right?
Yeah, the Parks and Wildlife.
Parks and Wildlife, thank you. Starflight, they were part of it.
Mm-hmm.
There were so many agencies that were there responding. The National Guard was there. So I'm really excited the fact that you guys are here to share just a piece of what you guys encountered personally.
Yeah.
So,
and we're grateful for all those agencies, the Coast Guard included. In our helicopter plan for the state, nighttime search and rescue coverage is not super well covered. And so the Coast Guard and Starflight are big parts of covering us at night. So we're super grateful for them. One of the things that our state does every year is an exercise called a SARX.
yeah.
And we invite everybody that wants to play, everybody with a helicopter, and usually we'll have several dozen helicopters all working. We have 50 to 100 victims out there, and we stage them in different parts of the country each year. So College Station, Houston, San Antonio, Austin, it's in a different place each year. And that lets us work with all these partner agencies. And I think it's a big part of us communicating with each other and trying to get everybody on the same team.
That's incredible. Like our training that we had just a little while ago. That's just a piece of it. And you guys do that once a month from what I understand, right?
Yeah, we run 2 trainings like that a month. And I'll tell you a little bit just about how the team works. Texas Task Force One is a state FEMA deployable team that has 3 big components. The first is a structural search and rescue team. So that's a FEMA deployable team that would go to something like 9/11. The second part of the team that Cliff's going to tell you about in a minute is a rescue boat system. And so they have all these members partnered with fire departments across the state to mount a boat response. And then the third part of the team is the helicopter part. And that is 24 rescue swimmers or helicopter search and rescue technicians that are from different departments across the state. I work for Flight for Life. That's a helicopter EMS program in Tyler. Cliff works for Longview Fire Department. We have people from fire and EMS systems across the state.
Wow.
So we as part of Texas Task Force One provide the rescue and medical component of the operation. And then the Texas National Guard provides the helicopters, the pilots, the mechanics, and the hoist operators.
Wow.
So we put all that together into a state deployable asset. So to stand up for something like these floods, what it looks like is on the 3rd, NWS is starting the forecast discussions. There's all these state conversations happening about what's coming in the weather. What are we predicting? Where is it going to happen? And how many assets do we need? When the state operations center, that's the SOC, hits the green light, they have to green light both the Texas Military Department that owns the aircraft and Texas Task Force One for the swimmers. And then we merge up into a single state deployed asset.
That is awesome.
Yeah, our partners with the Guard are really great. Sometimes when you think, oh, it's the National Guard, you think, do I get a weekend warrior that's a hoist operator? These are all super experienced guys, tons of hours. All the pilots that we fly with are, most of them are instructor pilots, so they're training constantly. Lots and lots of goggle hours on the border.
Nice.
We have 2 units we train with. One's a medevac, one's an assault unit. They each come with their kind of special flavor, but these are guys that we totally trust, and they do just a phenomenal job. So they're supporting, like the training you went to today. We do 2 trainings like that a month. they're supporting that with multiple aircraft. So if you're thinking of just like all the amount of man hours that the Guard is putting into it, it's pretty amazing that they can support this mission. But the domestic mission is really important to them.
Dang, man. That's awesome. How did you get into it?
Well, I had been working as a nurse on the helicopter for a while. I grew up in a small fire department, and I worked as a paramedic in a rural area where we did a lot of rope rescue in a busy state park in Wisconsin. And I'd always loved the rescue component. So when I saw the job posting, I mean, it was it felt like it was made for me. I was like, man, it's a merge of helicopters and swimming and rescue. So several of us from Longview applied at the same time, and I don't think any of us thought we were going to get it.
Not a shot.
And three of us, all three that applied, we all got it together. And so we carpool down a lot together. And
that's
the camaraderie on the team is amazing just because it's a small group.
Small, tight-knit group. And
we deploy for extended amounts of time together. And everybody is kind of the top of the game. No, there's no slackers in the group. Everybody's very self-motivated. It's actually very interesting. I got to participate on the hiring board a couple of years ago for our last process.
Okay.
And it became very interesting to see what you're trying to hire for. And what it is if you could picture like a Venn diagram of diplomacy and autonomy. Like you have to be able to make decisions that no one is going to tell you or advise you on. There's two chains of command because you have the green side, the Guard side, and what we call the blue side, which is the task force side. With two chains of command, you cannot always deconflict what you're supposed to do. And so the ethos of the team is crew integrity. You as a crew decide what's right and you do it right. And that's it.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, but to find somebody that can do that, but also do it diplomatically, to be able to work with, when you're a swimmer and I have in my head what I want to do, but I don't own the aircraft. I know where I want it. I know what I would like to do, but I have to work with the hoist operator and the PIC to figure out how can we do this? There has to be a lot of give and take where you're forming a team that, we train a lot together, but you may be with a crew from San Antonio that's been training with a different group for the last couple of months and be able to have excellent crew integrity and communication.
Well, it sounds like, and just being in the aircraft today, that you guys have a lot of communication back and forth between each other. Like you're on ICS, you're literally talking to the entire crew. And it's like, I'm a key component of having a crew brief and everybody on the same page. And I train like that. If I go out, it's everybody, it's all to say go and one to say no. And listening to you guys having two separate agencies coming together to do one thing and having that commonality. Oh my gosh. Yeah, you guys are next level with that.
Yeah, you have to check your ego at the door.
For sure.
I don't know if you could see, like when we were getting off the aircraft, there was always a little conversation that happened.
Yeah.
That was everybody saying, what could we have done better? How did that go? The hoist operator wants to know, did I bring you up too fast or too slow? Did you like where I put you in the tree? And the same thing. So there's always all this feedback. The pilots can tell us like, man, we couldn't really understand you on the radio. It sounded like you were yelling. And that, I think when you check your ego at the door, it gives you the ability to work together as a crew in a way that becomes really efficient.
Heck yeah. Well, and one of the other things like you mentioned just now is the radio. Like it was cool to watch because we're in the trees and you're looking at me like, hey, you good to go? Is there anything, going through the I'll call it the victim brief, right? And then all of a sudden it's a push of the button. Hey, we're hooked up. We're ready to go. You're not yelling. You're not trying to, you have your hands full with me. And now it's just a boop. Hey, we're ready to go. And now they're pulling us out of through the maze of the tree to get out.
And the hoist operator is balancing, putting the aircraft in the right position, but also hearing us say, hey, I need you to slow down a little bit, or I've got a branch coming up, or I need to get you pulled a little bit to this side of the tree.
Right.
Yeah, having the comms like that lets us do that real-time communication.
Well, and one of the other things that I really enjoyed about today's training is it's, and you guys all said it to me, this is real life. And the fact of the matter is, like, literally a couple of months ago, you're picking people out of trees, just like the scenario that we're doing. So that scenario is built on what you've already done. This isn't like, hey, let's make this harder just to be harder. You're like, no, let's make this realistic because we just did that.
Yeah, the adage of the team is when we're out training is often go solve a problem. That'll kind of be that'll be the brief.
My boy Matt Thiessen says that we are professional problem solvers.
Yeah,
and I'm like, yes, sir, we are.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so that's a little bit about the Helo team. I'll let Cliff talk about how the boat teams work a little bit before we get into how the day went down.
Yeah, well, let's start with you as far as who you are, where you're from, and how did you get into the team. Let's start with that.
All right, my name's Cliff Patrick. I work for the Longview Fire Department. We're a fire EMS agency in Northeast Texas. So we do fire and EMS. Everybody's a paramedic. Everybody's a firefighter. Longview has been very supportive of the interagency partnership with Texas Task Force 1. We have multiple members on the structural side, the boat side, and the helicopter side that we're talking about here today. A little bit about those boat teams. Bryan brought up Texas Task Force partners with multiple, I don't quote the number, but we're 14 to 18 different agencies across the state.
Holy smoke.
That then provide manpower and equipment at times to the state of Texas Task Force 1, when they call for that. And so when they roster a boat squad, they're asking for basically 6 guys with 2 Zodiacs. Those are 14-foot Zodiacs with a 40-horse outboard basically on it. And then we go across the state wherever they need us. The state often, when we talked about that, standing up resources, has to decide how many and what resources to stand up. And so it's a partnership between the state and those agencies to then provide the manpower and equipment, some equipment, while task force provides some training, the agency provides some training. And then when the state calls, those agencies provide the manpower to go wherever the state deems necessary. So you've got agencies from Longview to El Paso to Fort Worth and the Metroplex, Austin, all sending resources anywhere across the state when they ask for them. So that's kind of the boat team model. It's 6 guys, 2 boats with a raft that go wherever is need be.
6 guys, 2 boats. So you've got 2 trucks running down the highway with boats attached and 3 guys in one and 3 guys in the other.
That's right. Yep.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah, and so at any given time when we have a weather event in Texas, the state will usually pre-deploy 2 to 8 boat teams across the state, trying to position them in the best possible location, best guest spot to be able to effect rescues and serve the citizens should the rain event turn into something worse than is predicted.
And you guys are like constantly moving too.
We're continuously moving. Yeah, you may stay a partial day in a location. You may chase the rain cell. We've done in excess of 2,000 miles across the state in a few days, just tracking weather. Oh my gosh. Yep.
Wow.
As the state figures out how many assets they want on, at some point they decide we're going to add helicopters to the mix too, so that we have helos and boats, and then tries to circulate them into where they predict the most amount of the weather is going to end up.
Holy smoke. That's crazy. That's actually really cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so like I've been out, I think I've been out on 5 deployments here this year with boat teams across the state. And so they happen all the time, whether the public knows it or not. The state's frequently pre-deploying assets to potentially affected areas. And sometimes we do nothing, and sometimes we get to actually make an impact.
Wow. All right. Well, if you guys don't mind, let's jump into Kerrville then. Is that cool?
Let's do it.
We're going to divert real quick to thank our sponsors.
Breeze Eastern. For over 80 years, Breeze Eastern has designed and manufactured battle-proven aerial rescue hoists, winches, and cargo hooks. Each product is carefully crafted to support demanding mission scenarios, ensuring the job gets done safely and efficiently. Visit them today at www.breeze-eastern.com.
All right, so state calls now. I understand the weather cells and I get it. So they're pre-deploying you guys on somewhere around the 2nd or the 3rd, right?
Yeah, I think they stood up, and I don't know that number. I don't remember that number. I think we had 5 boat teams that were sent out on the 3rd.
And a boat team, again, 2 boats, 6 guys per team.
2 boats, a raft, and 6 guys per boat squad, and we sent at least 5 of those teams were out there on the night of the 3rd, pre-deployed to the region. Again, it's best guess. So Longview's team made our way down to Junction, Texas, and we were staged in Junction. just for the potential of the weather coming in, especially with the holiday weekend. So, and the other teams were all around the area as well.
Right on.
Yeah, we get called. Longview Fire Department sent one boat squad, which was one of 5 to 7. I don't remember the exact number that were pre-deployed in the area. We went down to Junction the night of the 3rd. We got called somewhere around 4 o'clock that morning to move down to Kerrville for a specific address where we had people on a roof, was I believe what the first call was for. So we headed that way. We had bad weather, obviously. A little bit about an hour drive from where we were down to Kerrville proper. And we got partway down the county road where we encountered water over the road, and we stopped for about almost 20 minutes. The way around was about a 45-minute journey, and we could already see when we came up, water was actually receding. So we chose to just wait it out. A neighbor came out. We said, "Hey, water come over the road here very often." He said, "I've never seen the water over the road here."
Wow.
So we waited about 20 minutes and then headed down into Ingram with our boat team. We knew we had one other boat team from San Antonio that was ahead of us down in the Ingram Hunt area. And I think you're going to talk to them. They've got an incredible story here that we just heard a few phone conversations of where they ended up having to abandon vehicles and everything like that. So that was kind of the first indication that when we heard a boat team was abandoning vehicles. I don't think that's ever happened. I've been on our boat team since 2012.
And that was those guys.
And that was those guys.
They were radioing to you guys, or calling you guys saying, "We're abandoning vehicles because we can't get out of here."
Correct.
Holy smoke.
We had the water manager. So with the boat squads, then a water manager's activated with a support specialist that drives him around to manage the teams. And so he happened to have just been with us at the location. So we heard a couple of those phone calls come in from them while we were waiting for water to go down so we could proceed on into the Ingram Hunt Kerrville area there that morning. So once water went down, we were attempting to then get to the initial address where they were attempting to get to as well. And we got stopped by water over the roadway just in between Ingram Hunt. Sheriff's deputy said, "Yeah, you can't go through here." And it was very obvious, yeah, we can't get there from here. And that was the only road that paralleled the river to get upriver towards that Hunt Mystic area. So the sheriff's deputy then directed us downriver just a little bit to meet up with fire, who said they had multiple people trapped. And so we moved down the road, downriver, made contact with fire department to see if we could get a boat in the first location we went to. Squad leader. So with our 6-man boat squad, we got a squad leader, assistant squad leader, swift water boat operator ×2, and a bowman ×2. And so that allows you the ability to have kind of a self-contained unit of 2 boats that can manage the situation as it comes up. Squad leader went down, we determined that it wasn't the best place to put a boat in due to conditions and location. And so we then moved farther downriver to a low water crossing where fire department said they had a apparatus that was stranded, and multiple calls on Acadia Loop down there, more towards Ingram, Kerrville. We moved down there and hit a kind of a low water crossing, moving towards the river at a creek, and multiple trucks had crossed as we pulled up, and then a mid-size SUV stalled out just about 50 yards out, and so we waited out and put the driver and the occupant in a PFD, and we're just going to wait them back. And the squad leader got on the radio as we were putting them in PFDs and said, "Hey, we already had to move the Tahoe back because the water's come up probably about a foot since you guys have been out there." And this is all in just a couple minutes. This was just
Holy smoke.
just before about 6 o'clock that morning. We were on the water there doing that. So that was kind of the realization of this is a little different than what we've seen or what we're used to, and this is going to be a substantial and unique event. So we walked those 2 out, and then we repositioned downriver to meet up with.
This is the 3rd time you're going downriver.
Yeah, downriver by land, based
right,
on
but to try to launch the boats.
Correct. Yeah.
Holy smoke.
Yeah, there was.
So you're legitimately trying to launch to get help out there, and you can't do it.
Correct. The main body of water was so far out of banks that due to debris and fences and houses, we were unable to make initial access to the river proper, and kept encountering things that would need assistance or rescued there. So from there, we moved down kind of some down behind a warehouse to try to make contact with, I believe it was a Kerrville fire engine that had been cut off, and they had multiple calls for assistance down on Acadia Loop. So we did make our way down towards Acadia Loop and got close into the back apron of a big warehouse, and did encounter the Kerrville fire unit walking back up the street. They'd said, hey, we've got a couple people hanging on a tree behind the residence, 2 houses down on the right. Can you guys go get them? We don't have a boat. We don't have any way to get out to them. And so this is kind of our first actual visual on the Guadalupe that morning. So we grabbed a raft and we're going to wade down. The street had about thigh deep water on it at that point, and we're about 6:40 in the morning at this point. And so we're going to wade down, just 2 houses down on the right, check the backyard, hopefully find survivors in a tree. So we grabbed 4 of us with a raft and waded out there with raft and throw bags. And once we got down to the second house on the right, checked the backyard, we kind of got the picture of the river and the fact that there was nobody on trees in the backyard by the time we got down there.
Oh my gosh.
Searched the residence because it had 3 feet of water inside the residence or so at that point. And then decided to go down the road a little bit. There was a grove of trees about, there's kind of an open lot. And then the next house down had several trees that potentially have had survivors hang up in. So we waded down that way. Down the road, again, about thigh deep water. And this is, I think, probably right about the peak of the river because we, during the wade, we kind of got to the point where it was too much to wade and we're going to have to hop in and paddle. And the path was just going to be probably out into the main body of the channel. So we attempted to move back up river, back up the road at that point, just waiting when one of our team members got taken out by two by something, came floating down and kind of knocked his legs out from under him. And
Holy!
So we ended up just with 3 of us hanging onto the raft. He was hanging on, but took him for what seemed like an eternity to get his feet back underneath him.
Wow!
And, we held what we got, and it was a situation where we're looking downstream to see where we're gonna punch out into the river because we're probably all gonna just be taking a ride. He finally got his feet back under him. We were able to make it back up the street enough to where we could then get to higher ground before we headed down that road to continue to check the houses and the trees that we could see. It was just a unique situation because it seemed like either storm surge or if you're on a lake's edge with multiple boats going by, the waves that were coming off were pretty impressive. That was the first thought. Once we started wading down the road, we kept getting hit with wave after wave, as if a boat was going by. And I was like, wow. This is a unique experience. This is something different we haven't necessarily seen to that degree, or I had not seen to that degree. We ended up, the crazy thing was it went up and down so fast. Within about a 15-minute period, we went from thigh-deep water to ankle-deep water in the same spot on that road. And we... Wait a
minute. You say that again? You went from what to what?
Within about 15 to 20-minute period, we went from thigh-deep water to ankle-deep water on that road.
Holy smoke.
It went up and down that fast.
Wow.
The same road that we were in thigh-deep water on, within about 15 to 20 minutes, we had moved on down, evacuated an elderly lady out of her residence on the riverside of the road, put her in a pickup from one of the neighbors, and evacuated her via pickup back down the same road that we were in thigh deep water just 15 to 20 minutes earlier.
That's wild.
Yeah.
You're talking like 2 feet
Correct.
of water that's like rising and then gone.
Correct. Yeah.
What the heck? Holy smoke.
That was impressive. I hadn't seen anything like it. So as fast as it was up, it was also down.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. It was something that we weren't necessarily expecting. We hadn't seen anything like that. We've done lots of flooding events. You know, Hurricane Harvey was, a capstone of flooding events. It's such a widespread, but long term. And while there were rises and falls, it was over days, not literally minutes. So I hadn't seen anything like this. So this was a unique experience there. From there, then we went, since the water was coming down, we were sent back up to kind of the original position that we attempted to launch on first. And it was there that we were trying to spin vehicles around and launch a boat, and noted 2 females in a tree, only about 50 yards out in the river. And at this point, they were, probably about 5 feet off the water line. That's how far the water had dropped already. We launched one boat, spun the other boat around, and started to launch it. But went ahead and launched one boat on those 2 victims, placed them in the boat, and then brought them to shoreside. We then got the second boat in the water. This was all happening pretty quickly. The second boat got in the water, and we'd heard victims calling upriver, probably about 300 yards. And so we made an attempt to go upriver. Then with both boats, we always want that backup boat just to get when something's going to go down.
Yeah, right. Especially with like such fast moving water, raising and lowering that, raising and falling that. You're talking debris that comes off the shoreline that's been sitting there stagnant for so long, and now all of a sudden it's being picked up and pushed down river. You have there's a lot of debris and stuff that it's like coming down. So now you're trying to navigate in and around that.
Yeah, there was an impressive amount of debris. I've obviously never seen anything like it. Natural debris and houses and vehicles. And once we get out into the main body of the river, we did have a motor die on us. And as I was restarting, my bowman says,
"Hey, you're in the middle of the river, the raging river that's rising and falling that fast, and you lose your engine. Are you kidding me right now?"
Yeah,
You're at the mercy of the river.
We were at the mercy of the river.
Holy smoke! What the heck?
We had this is why we had 2 boats in the water at the time, and my motor white smoked and died on me. So I pulled the motor, wiped the intakes, had a little bit of debris wrapped around the prop, so I cleared that.
As you're floating down the river.
As we're now floating down the river.
Oh my God. I love how you're like kind of downplaying this in the moment. Like, oh, it just kind of happened. Pretty monotone. Are you kidding me right now?
Yeah.
I'd be in the boat like, yo, we need to get this sucker started now. Somebody drop anchor or find me an eddy or something. Pull the paddles.
Yeah, there's no anchor to drop there.
What the heck? Holy smoke, man.
While this was going on, the follow boat, our second boat, came around and did a textbook boat capture, trying to push us back towards the near side of River's Edge. About the time that he came and contacted my boat for the boat capture, I was able to crank our motor back up, and we had full power again.
Nice.
Meanwhile, in there, my bowman says, "Hey, look, there's an RV." And I look up, expecting to see something floating down. He's like, "No, look down." And right next to the boat is the whole side of an RV, probably about 20 foot long, the full 8 foot tall side, even with the water line. You could have reached down and opened the door up towards you, knocked on the door, all floating down as we were floating down.
Wow.
So there was a massive amount of debris in the water again. And that turned out to be what was giving us trouble with our motors from all the silt and the debris that we had. The motors were just kind of going into limp mode, overheat mode to protect the motor.
Interesting. That's something, again, I didn't even think about. So you're in all this debris that's coming down. All the dust and stuff that's out here is now in the water, clogging up your engine intake, which is the same intake that you need to cool off the engine.
That's right.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was.
I'm gonna put this out there real quick. We as rescuers rely on our gear and equipment in order to go do the rescue. Now all of a sudden the rescuer is in trouble. That's never a good thing.
It's never a good thing. Yeah,
because now we can't help those in need.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
That's why Texas Task Force 1 does a good job. We have the position of bowman, we have the position of floodwater boat operator, and the position of swiftwater boat operator. So for a guy to get the title of swiftwater boat operator, he's been to a substantial amount of training, been to some pretty big water and put boats in pretty big water. The task force makes an annual trip up to Tennessee where they train in like conditions and doing downed boat and crew recoveries and boat captures and tethered swimming and all of that. So,
that is awesome.
To get that title of swiftwater boat operator, you've been in those situations. You've done those boat captures. You've killed that motor. You've had the opportunity to train like it was for real. And when it turned out it was for real, the boat operator that was with me had just been up to Tennessee here this last year. So he was brand new at it, and he didn't even think. I didn't even have to call him over. He just hopped on the throttle and came over and did a perfect boat capture and was starting to push us the right way. Once we got our motor back up and running, we continued to move upriver to make an attempt again to make contact with these people that we'd heard. We couldn't see, but we had verbal. We'd hail them, they'd hail back. And so we moved back up the river probably about another 100 yards before the motor died out again.
Oh my God.
And went back into limp mode. It's as if you had the kind of choked the motor. You could go full throttle, but you were just, quarter power or so. And so we started floating back downstream again at that point. The second boat came alongside, and basically about the time that he came alongside us, he had a different motor. We run Evinrude E-Tex and Tohatsus, and so his motor made a beep, beep, beep and had a little red light of overheat as well, right at the same time that he contacted us. So then we had...
So now you guys are both dead in the water floating down? Oh my good Lord.
Two boats dead in the water at that point, and I continued the troubleshoot process on mine, trying to pull it, clean the intakes, restart. He stayed just on throttle with the about quarter throttle that he had as we floated downriver. And I would say just providentially, the Lord's hand was on us.
Can I get an amen?
Yeah. He got full power back at exactly the right moment to get us into an eddy in a line of trees downstream after floating down, I don't know, 500-600 yards. It's hard to say exactly how far we floated down, but that was just God's protection, providential protection, watching out for us. We gave our guardian angels a run for our money on this trip. But
wow.
We were able to eddy out, get boats back out of the water, try to clear intakes and get boats running. Kind of from here. Then we moved downriver, just about a quarter mile. We had to reposition by road to Kerrville Fire. Had a boat in the water with a spotted victim on a debris pile mid-river, but they didn't.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
The people that you heard upriver, you couldn't get to them. Was there any confirmation? Was anybody up there, or were they able to get up there later? Do you know?
I don't 100% know. But we had confirmation that DPS and game wardens flew over, and I believe they hoisted from that location.
Oh, right on. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, like this, I got to ask that because, again, rescuers trying to get in there, and now our gear can't do the job or something happens.
Correct.
And now you can't. But there's people still stuck.
Correct.
So
there's multiple people stuck.
God bless the multiple agencies you guys down here. Thank God for friggin' SARX. Oh my gosh. Okay, keep going, dude.
Oh, you're good. Kerrville Fire was asking for a second boat to back them up. They had a victim that they'd spotted on a debris pile. So we repositioned about a quarter mile downstream, launched our second boat that had regained full power and was running adequately at the time as a backup boat for them. They took their Zodiac with their E-Tech motor over to the debris pile, while our boat stayed on shore side. They grabbed the victim, placed the victim in their boat, and then their motor basically went into limp mode on the debris pile mid-river, and they were stuck on the pile. So we sent our boat over, took the victim from their boat, the survivor from their boat, and placed him in our boat, and then brought the survivor back to shore. Meanwhile, then they were able to get their motor running again and back out of river to our side. So the river was the debris field in the river, the silt and the debris was just wreaking havoc on all the motors, causing them to overheat and kind of go into a protection limp mode. And we couldn't necessarily fix that at the moment. While all this was happening, we noted another survivor in a tree. Now, a substantial amount of time has passed here. And so, like I said, water is continuing to fall. And so this is where we note a victim in a tree, probably about 100 yards up from our current location, where we've just pulled a victim off a pile. And this lady is approximately 20 feet up in the tree at this point.
Oh my gosh.
And just due to the nature of the debris fields and the river conditions and the motors going down, we couldn't get a boat to her. And even if we had, she was 20 feet up in the tree. So we were asking for aircraft to come overhead at this time. So finally, DPS did bring an aircraft over for us. They were flying in some pretty terrible conditions. And they brought an aircraft overhead and were able to spot her and effect a fantastic hoist rescue and short hauled her over to us, where we took her up to EMS up at the street side. So,
wow,
yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm visualizing that right now of being helpless as the rescuer, not being able to get to somebody that you see is stuck.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, dude.
The downside with the weather and the continuation of the weather, we'd been asking for aircraft and they were attempting to get to us, but there was just the delay due to conditions. And I know Bryan will talk about that here in a little bit. But it was a helpless feeling to not have the equipment to be able to effect the rescue that you wanted to effect, or the
having the equipment, just the environment that you're in, just fouling it up. It's not allowing you to do your job.
Yeah, it was pretty frustrating for all of us.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Holy smoke, I didn't know any of that.
Yeah. So.
Quick question, so you're communicating with the helicopters. So you have like a ground to air frequency. Is everybody on that frequency so you can talk to multiple aircrafts, or how does that work? And I asked that, you're smiling over here right now, but the reason I'm asking that is because a lot of times with different places that I've been, either the ground guys or the boat guys don't have a way to actually radio the helicopters. How is that working for you guys?
So all the boat squads have their VHF radios for in-squad and interoperability with local fire departments. And then we also have one aviation radio per each boat squad that if we have the right frequency, which usually when we're making that text and that call back through kind of the liaison process from our water manager, who's then reaching out to the air group supervisor, that information can get passed back and forth. So we do have an aviation radio that we can make contact then with that aircraft once it comes overhead.
Oh my gosh, dude. You were busting your butt trying.
Yeah, so how many rescues did you guys do on the 4th?
We really only did 6 rescues and one assist.
6.5.
6.5.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
You work for it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And then by this time, this has taken us till somewhere around 10 o'clock in the morning, from being in the water just before 6 o'clock to about 10 o'clock to do this. And it seemed like it was faster at times. It seemed like it was slower at times. But at this point now, water has fallen substantially. It's not back in its banks, but it's fallen substantially.
So one is, do people know this? Do people know the challenge that you faced trying to get out there?
I don't think if you weren't there, you don't have the full picture. You just can't understand the full picture. And even, snapping photos that people did or bystanders, filmed a lot of what we did. It just doesn't do it justice either. It's hard to understand if you're not there, from everything from, turning when we launched the first boat to pull 2 girls off the tree. The reason we didn't launch a second immediately because the first one got stuck in the mud, for 10 minutes while we jerk it out with a fire department vehicle and then get that second boat launched. So a lot of complicating factors just with the amount of water that had come up and down and the debris fields and debris piles that were displaced and houses and vehicles and all of that. Yeah.
Now, the other question is, were you relaying that to all the other teams? I imagine that all the other teams were talking to each other and just being like, okay, we're struggling with this and this is why. So it's that communication that's coming across the board. Is that happening as well? Or
some of that communication is coming across, initially we kind of had that San Antonio team there that had been there first, and then we kind of got in town second, I believe. And so a lot of that's getting pushed back up to our water groups, our water manager, and his support specialists with him that's kind of running things at that time. So some of that information is going through, but again, unless you're there, you don't fully grasp.
Right. Totally.
Oh, hey, they're having trouble with a motor. Well, why? Like, we have trouble with motors for multiple different reasons, but initially we thought, it's just one motor that we're having trouble with. And then once about 2:00 that afternoon, when we actually do start talking to all the other teams that are in there, we hear multiple stories of, our motor overheated. Our motor overheated. We need a new motor.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Yeah.
Well, man, you know what? Good on you guys for battling through the elements to try to get as many people as you possibly could. Stuck 30 feet in a tree, and you can't even get around debris to get to her.
And we couldn't get through water or debris to get to her. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's insane.
And then you guys stayed on location and supported the mission for quite a while after the 4th as well.
We did, yeah. So we were out a total of 14 days, which is kind of
14 days?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's awesome.
Task force, when you say yes to a deployment, it's kind of expected that you're signing up for potentially a 14-day deployment. So our boat team stayed on location. Then, day one was rescues and searches. We did multiple searches, put boats in the water for searches that didn't necessarily turn up what they were intending to. Throughout that day, made further attempts to make it upriver, but we're still, due to water roads and washed out roads and whatnot, not able to make it too much farther up, which is where the aircraft came into play with the evacuations that they did and rescues that they did upstream.
And the structural side of the team was also out there, and we still have members of the structural team down in Kerrville supporting the search for the final 2.
That is incredible.
Yes.
That is incredible.
Yeah, so the structural team was out there in the thick of it in the SAR portion.
After the day one response, then we had kind of all the resources sent in, and so then day 2 and beyond for our boat team was then we're paired with anybody from Texas Parks and Wildlife, Texas DPS, DEA. While they would search banks, then we would search river and river edge with boats or with wading or with rafts and searching debris piles and removals for the remainder of the time there.
That is amazing. Wow. I did not know any of that. Like I knew there was a response like day 1, day 2, but 14 days of going and searching, and that's amazing.
Yeah, and it's been continued effort. I think State of Texas has had personnel on site to this day since July 4th. Yeah,
so I did hear that they are still, and they are not leaving like anything unturned to try to find every last person that went missing.
Yeah, there's a lot of space age technology being put to work and a lot of hard work just moving and separating debris piles and all that.
Wow, that's wild. Good on you guys, man. Well done. All right, Bryan. So where did you come in on all this? Sorry, anything else from you?
No, that's about the size of it. Obviously, little stories of searches and everything from there, but those were the that was day one rescues, and it seemed like a small number, but we're happy to be able to make an impact on a few people's lives. And the silver lining to it was, being there then 14 days afterwards, all the citizens were super appreciative that you were there. And then, question number 2 is like, oh, when did you guys get here? And it was really neat to be able to say, oh, we were here on the 3rd, and then we were here the morning of the 4th. And then for one couple, they said, oh, hey, we live down on a Katy Loop. And we're like, oh, hey, we were on a Katy Loop. And they're like, hey, look at our ring cam. We're like, oh, we were right there.
Oh my gosh.
So, yeah. Anyway, so that was kind of the silver lining, that everybody appreciated the work that responders were doing. But then when you got to tell the story that, no, we were actually here that morning, and the silver lining is, while there was a ton of life lost, there were some lives saved due to the response.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've heard that quite a bit. Like, and I am so sorry for everybody that lost a loved one. And like the news, they did a decent job like covering like the event and how fast it was, but they missed some of the details of this, like where you guys were there and putting in some really hard work, some big time effort to get so many that were out there and to find everybody, all the loved ones, to bring that closure.
Yeah.
This is incredible. I am so glad you guys are here to share this. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, heck yeah. We're going to divert real quick to thank our sponsors.
Axnis. The Axnis PNG wireless ICS system delivers cutting-edge wireless ICS technology to any aircraft as a fully integrated system or as a carry-on, carry-off mobile base station. The PNG wireless system is the right solution for any mission.
And Ready Bar, originally made for astronauts, now designed for first responders and built for you. This high-performance meal bar provides complete nutrition without the sugar crash. A must-have for any helmet bag, swimmer bag, or everyday pack. Get yours today at getreadybar.com and use the promo code RESQ10 for 10% off. Ready Bar, zero crash, all fuel. All right, Bryan, where did you because you came in on a helicopter?
Yeah, so the state began standing up helicopter resources on the 3rd. And initially my job was going to be just the air group supervisor. So we put a Helo manager on that coordinates all the air assets for the state for something like this. So we were going to put on 4 helicopters. And then my job was to just sort of supervise those helicopters, but also liaise with all the other agencies. So on the 3rd, we're starting to get weather briefings. And then I'm making phone calls to Texas Parks and Wildlife, Texas DPS, the Coast Guard.
That was you.
Yeah.
You called everybody.
That's
hey.
right. Well,
that's awesome.
When you know this is about to go down,
yeah,
everybody wants to know who's going to be on the other end of the line. So you just make that call the day before and you say, hey, Major Barina, this is Bryan with Texas Task Force 1. I'm the Helo boss for the state. Want to see what you have on, where are your assets, how many hoists do you have, where are they? That way you're ready when you get the phone call that says, we need assets.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's, we do this every time an event comes up, and it's part of it is just learning each other's names. We have all these spreadsheets of phone numbers for all these agencies, so we know how to connect all these agencies to one fight.
Wow.
So all that started happening on the 3rd. I was going to manage it remotely. And then as we were looking at it getting stood up, it became apparent that I was going to staff as a swimmer as well, just so that we could have enough aircraft to support it. The weather briefing was not clear on the location. And that's what we didn't know. It's hard to figure out where is this thing going to be. The boat squads all kind of fan out. We had aircraft sitting in San Antonio and Austin, and we knew somewhere in the hill country something was going to go down. The Weather Service was using a term called a rain bomb. That was new to me. I didn't know what a rain bomb was.
Never heard of it.
Right. But what we do know is that the Texas hill country is called Flash Flood Alley. And the reason is you have all these steep hills that go down into valleys, and then under it you have this rocky hardpan. And so on top of that, we were towards the end of a pretty severe drought. which then makes whatever soil you have even harder. So the runoff is more exaggerated. And so the idea was, we know there's going to be some rain. They even mentioned the day before what it could look like is just a real isolated pocket, a small area that gets 12 to 16 inches of rain. We just don't know where that sucker is going to be. So I'd gotten up early to drive in to man the aircraft. We had crews that were, our tasking was to be ready on the morning of the 4th. And at 4:45, my phone rang, and it was an agency called STRAC, the South Texas Regional Area Council. And it was their MedCom saying, hey, we heard you're the Helo boss, and Kerrville PD says there's all these people requesting evacuation. We said there's flash flooding in the area. What do you have for helicopters? And so I began calling all of our partner agencies.
Yeah.
So we woke up.
So you called them already to say, hey, stand by.
Yeah, we talked the
And
day
now-
before. They'd been briefed as well, so they
Okay.
knew that something might happen. But they were fanned out all over the state, right?
Yeah.
DPS is in the Dallas Fort Worth Metroplex and in Houston. Parks and Wildlife is in Austin. The Coast Guard, it had a sector in Corpus and also in Houston. And so we woke up our crew early. I called them and said, hey guys, it looks like it's going to be the big one. So let's launch early as quick as we can. So we started that process on our side.
Wow.
And then called the Coast Guard.
Yeah.
And I just called the Corpus sector, like just kind of looking at the map, and it looked marginally closer than Houston. So we called the sector and started that process. Called DPS and Parks and Wildlife, and they said the same thing. They could have somebody up by daybreak was their goal, and they would kind of hustle it up as well. And then called Starflight.
Nice.
And so those are sort of our resources. Going into it, I knew that Starflight and the Coast Guard were our nighttime coverage. And it took a while to get the launch approval for the Coast Guard. There was a bunch of phone calls. I made and received 75 phone calls on my drive in to staff the helicopter. And these are the
my God.
the boat squads asking for helicopters. They're sending grids. They're saying, we got people in trees. This is what we need. It's MedCom calling from STRAC. It was Kerrville PD calling and asking, what's the ETA on a Helo? And, Starflight's in the air. They're asking for grids and a tasking. So the way that the state plan works is all the ground forces and boat forces send their Helo requests through one person. That's the Helo manager. And then the Helo manager tasks it out to whatever assets are in play. The trick was the weather was so crummy, it was really hard to get air assets in theater. And so the Coast Guard punched in. I think everyone it was just really crummy weather. So the Coast Guard's delayed because they're punching in, they're filing into San Antonio. It took them 3 times to punch through the weather. Starflight punches in, they RTB and have to get a new crew, come back out, try it again. So the around daybreak is when we got Parks and Wildlife and DPS on station, and they could start working some hoists. And I called a backup manager because I was knowing that once I got on the aircraft, I was going to be out of the pocket. And this was not going to be the one-off event. So we brought another manager in, and he said, Bryan, I just need you to cover it until I can get established in the SOC. So he went and set up in the State Operations Center. So he was embedded with all the other communications that were going on.
Yeah.
And then as soon as I was able to get to Austin and we got the aircraft together, we launched. We couldn't launch right for Kerrville because of the way the weather was. And so we do this kind of circuitous route around from Austin to San Antonio to Hondo, pick up some gas, meet up with Starflight, making their punch in. We have 5 helicopters now. We brought on a 5th. And so we flew in a flight of 4 UH-60s from Hondo around through they're like low mountains. It's sharply rolling hills, about 1,800 foot elevation around Garner State Park. Really just looking at terrain maps with a tight ceiling above us, low and slow, picking our way through these little valleys as we're trying to make our way up to Kerrville. It's just really, really crummy weather.
Wow.
Our 5th in helicopter flew in a flight of 2. So we had a flight of 4 that was right behind Starflight. And then our 5th in helicopter flew in a 2 helicopter formation with the Coast Guard asset that came up from the Corpus sector. And so by the time we were getting on station, it was around lunchtime that, once we got through the weather to get there, the ceilings had started lifting so we could start working. And the guy that replaced me in the SOC began handing out taskings. And so we everybody fanned out. Some people were at Mystic. Some of us were searching these little hotel spots along the river. And we ended up hoisting down multiple times. And, the first things we were finding is just bodies in cars, and so, but when you see, from 120 feet, you see a body in a car, you're going to go check it and make sure, that there's not a survivor in there. And then we saw some waving on the bank of the river just across from Camp Mystic. And we thought there was a family there that wanted to be hoisted. And so we hoisted our swimmer down, and he made contact and realized there were 2 girls that had washed out from Mystic across the river and had caught onto the riverbank, and they were there looking to be hoisted. The family was fine sheltering in place.
Okay.
But they wanted these girls to be hoisted out. And so while the swimmer was down there, we actually found a little tiny field with not too bad of a slope that we could just set the 60 down on.
Nice.
And we brought the girls up. Just it's a little less traumatic than hoisting them.
Right, totally.
When you can land and load.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So we picked them up, an 8 and a 9-year-old, and moved them over we had a big CCP set up at the high school.
CCP,
a casualty collection point.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Everybody was, bringing people to for unification.
Yeah.
Picked up some gas at the airport and high-fived all the other guys and gals who were out there working, and then got tasked to go back to Camp Mystic. And what was coming up to the SOC was that there was a lot of people there that didn't need to be rescued but needed to be evacuated. And so we'd had some helicopters working it, but it was like a lot of people. And so
define a lot of people, because I've heard a lot of numbers. So
yeah, right.
What do you remember?
Well, what I remember them saying is, we don't know. We keep getting reports of 200, 400, 600. We don't know what's out there. And so DJ, the manager, called me and said, Bryan, just go out there, get off the helicopter, and please just figure out for the SOC what is going on. And we call it a bus route. He's like, can you just start a bus route with all the 60s so that we just load them and move them and load them and move them?
Meanwhile, there is no ground access.
That's right.
We've made multiple attempts to get ground access up to here, but just due to the washouts on the road and the debris, we can't physically make vehicle access or boat access up.
Can't get ground forces
this far upriver. So
if I remember correctly, there was reports of like 3 bridges that were totally washed out, and the. If I also remember correctly, one of them had never been overtaken by the river, like ever, and now all of a sudden it's gone.
Yeah, I mean, this river rose, depending on which river gauge you look at, 20 to north of 30 feet in a very short amount of time, 40 minutes. If you look at the midnight river gauges, that water was flowing like 50 gallons a minute. So that it's a trickle, right? And at its peak, it surges to 1 million gallons.
Holy!
So, I mean, if you think 1 million gallons a second moving past there, that is a colossal amount of water. So yeah, I mean, just debris fields everywhere. It's very obvious that this river is just totally surged, and then all these roads are cut off.
Yeah, just due to the geography of it, there's one road that parallels the river in and out, and then due to the banks from the hills that Bryan's talking about on each side, there's no side access anywhere between point A and point B. So helicopters were really the only asset to be able to make those evacuations.
Wow.
So we put our 60s on it. What we found at Mystic is that there were actually 3 landing zones that were all getting used.
Okay.
There were people from DPS and Parks and Wildlife and the Coast Guard that were on the ground at each of the 3 landing zones. I think what hadn't happened is sort of networking the 3 to get a count of like how many people are still here. The staff at Mystic was awesome. They knew exactly how many people they had and how many they needed evac'd. What we found there is they didn't have power. They didn't have food, but they were safe. They just needed to get all those girls out of there and, of course, reunified with their families.
Right.
And so that became the priority for the night. The staff has been up all night trying to, evacuate these kids. And they knew to a number exactly how many they were missing. I mean, the first thing they said when we landed there earlier in the day to, see if they needed anything is they're like, how many have you gotten? And so we told them, hey, we picked 2 from the other side of the river, and they want to know who they were. And so we showed them a picture, and they were like, yep, we got those 2. How many more do you have? And we told them, we are flying.
Bro, I just got chills from that, okay? That's epic.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And we told them, we are flying. Every time we come in and out for gas, we're flying the belly of this river at about 40 knots, real slow. We are searching for everything, and we're not finding anybody else. And they knew exactly how many they were missing. So they had a count. So yeah, we networked the 3 sites together and, evened out the girls. So that there was we needed to move about 300 to 400 that night before it got dark. And they had been moving, their even driveway had washed out, and they had a couple of throw bags hooked together with running water going across this driveway still. And they would, have the girls hang on to the line from the throw bags and walk across. So we flew 366 out of there that night.
Holy smoke.
Parks and Wildlife moved a bunch. The Coast Guard was moving a bunch. Everybody was kind of on it to get them out of there by the time the sun went down. So that night,
real quick, did you just stay on scene and you're just bringing people to every helicopter that's coming in?
Yeah, what we found is at each of these 3 LZs, there was somebody doing that. That's
awesome.
What Scott Ruskin was doing. He was at one site. I met him out there. There was an awesome guy from Parks and Wildlife at another site, and then a DPS guy at a third site. They just all ended up there. And so they were loading, right?
Oh, that's awesome.
Once we got a count of how many we had, we kind of had a game plan. We made a quick map, just did a screenshot on a phone of the area. We designated 3 LZs. We named them. We sent it up the chain to the Helo boss so he could disseminate it. And then we knew, like, hey, at LZ Charlie, we've got 46 left. At LZ Bravo, we've got 35 left, et cetera. And then we could get them out of there. So once we'd done that, then I could jump on our ship again. Our 60s were moving between 8 and 11 packs at a time based on the seating configuration.
It's pretty good.
And so
God bless the 60.
That's right, man. The 60, so it's just such a workhorse.
I love that aircraft. Yeah. It's so much.
It's great. Yeah. And our assault 60s that come from the assault unit, are stripped down to where we can, you can put a lot of people and a lot of packs in there. We had a couple of slick 60s working it too with us that came from our assault unit. So they didn't have a hoist, but they got 11 seats. And so we could put them in the fight.
Load them.
Yep. Start the bus route.
Wow. Holy smoke.
Dude,
man, what a mind job right there. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm like, you've got so many people stuck on an island.
Yeah.
And it's trying to keep everybody the calm and the chaos. Just that, hey, we got it. This is what we're going to do. And giving everybody else a game plan to keep them. I mean, you're the cavalry. You are the help showing up. And they're all looking at you like, what are we going to do? And you're like, I got this.
Man, they were awesome. All those girls were super level-headed. They were happy to be out of there. The Mystic staff was awesome. I mean, they just worked their tails off. And you could tell they were just totally distraught. I mean, all those campers were like family to them. And, they were all in. So,
but for them, and again, I'm not there, right? You guys are there. But all the reports that came in with how fast the water rose and the fact that nobody was able to do anything about it. And again, what I've heard so far is all they could do is just get out of their cottage, the house, the camp, the whatever they're in to get to higher ground.
Yeah, it was wild. I mean, their whole parking lot had all these turned over vehicles in it. I mean, the amount of water that passed through there was insane.
Oh, man. Wow. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No.
It's mind boggling to me.
The
what
vehicles
happened.
that the multiple vehicles downriver, it just looked like a crushed up Coke can.
Totally.
That had been tumbled and some unrecognizable, whether that was a car, a midsize SUV, a Tahoe, a Suburban, what. It just crumpled. It was very impressive.
Yeah.
Wow.
That night we got put up in somebody's house. It was just a young family that was, they had a couple of little kids and they were like, yeah, we'll go buy some air mattresses. And so we crashed about 17 swimmers and aviators in their living room and bedroom. And they like cooked some spaghetti. And we hadn't eaten all day. And they kept their kids up late. It was about 10, 11 p.m. by the time we were, running out of duty day and bedding down. So that was, just super cool to be the recipient of the hospitality of people there that just wanted to help.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
man.
it was amazing.
The Texas hospitality
if you can't,
is fantastic.
Yeah. They're like, we can't, save people out of the river, but we'll help however we can. So we put our helicopters to bed and my phone rings at 4:45 the next morning. And it's the air boss again. And he said, hey, have you been watching the boat threads? Which I was still on, I can see the chatter from the boat squads. And when the boat squads start lighting up, that's when the Helo work starts to follow. And what we found is that there was another event over in Burnett County and Marble Falls area. And so
what?
The rain.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So there was a second event that followed it. And so he said, hey, we just had a fire chief and a boat team wash out. They're downriver. Can you get there? And we looked at the weather and the weather is terrible. Like we're IFR'd in. So I called our lead pilot.
Hold on. I'm sorry. Is this a whole nother river that this is going on?
Yes.
Yeah. Still in the hill country, but different river, different area, different storm system.
Has that ever been reported?
In the local media.
Yeah. It happened.
Oh my God. I've not even heard of this until right now. I didn't know that.
Yeah. It effectively kind of got rolled up into one incident with multiple sectors, but it was definitely a next day event.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah. So I met up with our pilot and we kind of started making a game plan, and our plan was to IFR out of the airport in Kerrville up to Burnett.
Okay.
And see if we could break out and start doing some work, which was the same thing that the Coasties were doing. So they had a ship that was overnight. And so we all kind of end up at the airfield again in the dark early, trying to get to where to where the work is. And we're just lining up to get our IFR clearance. So Houston Center's trying to clear us out and we're just all stacked up in a line. And so you end up with, 3 or 4 helicopters all departing out of Kerrville at the break of dawn on an IFR clearance, all just, with short 5-minute block times.
Wow.
Yeah. So we get on station in Burnett County and begin working that area. Like Cliff mentioned, the vehicles that have washed out downstream are just totally pulverized.
Yeah.
We worked we evacuated a special needs group home with a bunch of autistic kids. So we loaded them up in the 60. We just kind of we weren't sure how this was going to go, but we, backpacked them out there and got them situated. They did awesome. And then worked search effectively for the rest of the day. So then, we're just flying low and slow in all these river bottoms looking. The locals are calling, asking us to find people that were missing. And a lot of times we could spot bodies from the air, that they couldn't see from the boats.
Either in and around a debris pile or something similar. Yeah, I gotcha.
And then a lot of the times it was in a place where we couldn't land, but we could hoist down, make contact, get a grid for it, hoist back up, and then pass it on to the ground forces.
Man, that's one of the hardest things about our job is that we are also going to get those that have lost their life. And it's not, that's some of the hard things that we see as rescuers.
Totally. Mm-hmm.
And I'm all about trying to give the closure to the family, 100%.
Right. Yeah.
But that is hard. That is hard on us.
It is very
so
difficult.
the fact that you guys were doing that.
Yeah, it was actually the most
enough.
technical part of the job for us actually was on Sunday night. We got called back to Kerrville. They dropped a hoist mission on us. And we wondered, okay, is this a rescuer or what are, that's gotten trapped or something? And then as we're en route, we get more information that it's human remains in a tree that they want to get out, but it's trapped up so high that they can't get there with boats or any other way. So there's this tree in the middle of a river with a gentleman on it that's been trapped there for several days.
Oh my gosh.
And so we, we kind of start pre-planning this a little bit because this isn't something we do all the time.
Right.
We don't train like for this every month. So we hoisted down into the tree and realized that we weren't going to be able to get him out without cutting the tree apart as well. He was pinned in with a large branch right across his torso. And so I called for the second swimmer. On a 60, we put 2 task force members in the 60.
That's awesome.
And usually one of them is sort of just operational oversight, making contact with what we call the JAG-CT, the Joint Air Ground Coordination Team, and helping the hoist operator read the water and the eddies. And, they're kind of in our own brain, knowing what we need before we need it.
Yeah.
But in a situation...
that's a great way to advise the air crew what's going on, too. Because if they're not river rescue...
That's right.
Like, I'll say knowledgeable.
That's right.
Yeah, because I know for me personally, when I went through one spot where I didn't know about rivers, and then I went through a river course, and now I know about rivers.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of guys that may not have seen that.
And you probably saw that today in the cabin. You saw 2 of us blue suiters in the 60, and the secondary swimmer is standing up over the hoist operator so they can look down that cable and see the same view that the hoist operator has.
Yeah.
And then they can kind of coach or make adjustments if needed. In this case, it gives you another set of hands that kind of knows what to do.
Right.
Right. And so we hoisted the second swimmer down. We both ended up in the tree. We fashioned a harness out of webbing, like a 2-part Hansen harness. Because how do you move a body that's been there for a few days, right?
Yeah. Well,
So
how do you got to cut the tree out? How are you cutting the tree out?
Yeah, so with a Sawzall. So we carry...
Oh, my God.
Yeah, we carry
That's
a
right.
cordless recip saw for roof breaching. And so that's one of the things we train pretty frequently is how do we breach a roof? But, we're like, well, it's going to work on a tree too. So then the air crew, man, they did just a phenomenal job. They're able to make contact with the first responders, come up with a game plan for how to, handle the body in a dignified way, and we made a plan to just short haul it to the bank of the river. And then they came and delivered the hook. And what we needed from them is we needed that hook to take the weight of that body and hold it in a position while we cut the tree away without pulling it through the tree branch or allowing it to drop. And so, it was kind of a tall order. And so the second swimmer basically just stayed on the radio coaching them. I need another couple inches up. I need another couple inches down. I need a little bit up, a little bit down, and just constant helping them, have eyes on the situation. Well, then we're able to cut that branch off. So, the fear, of course, is by the time you get a helicopter on the river and the first responders get there, now there's cameras everywhere.
Right.
And, the last thing you want to do to someone's family member is, treat that body without dignity.
Yeah.
To dump it into the river or something. And so the air crew was awesome. They were super stable. And the first responders were awesome about helping us, collect the body and hand it off to law enforcement. And it was just something we had never trained for.
That's not something you would think about.
Right.
But again, we are professional problem solvers. So
yeah, it was a different deployment, particularly on the Helo side, but I think probably, some similar vibes on the boat side.
Absolutely.
As professional rescuers, we go solve a problem.
Right.
That's what you call us to. And in this one, for whatever reason, whether the motor's overheating and you're having to listen to, people screaming for help, or you're fighting weather to get in, you're like, man, we all pushed through stuff we probably, by the book shouldn't have pushed through to get there.
Right.
And then you get there and realize, man, most of these people have self-rescued or they're already dead.
Yeah.
And you can't make a big difference like you want to.
Right.
At the same time, you're not doing it always on a calculation of what you're going to get out of it. When you're pushing to get through the mountains, you're thinking there's somebody hanging on a tree and we're going to be there for them. It's the same thing when you're trying to, get your motor started for the 3rd time. You're like, how many more times are we going to do this? But
the fact of the matter is there were people stuck in a tree. There were people on that debris pile. There were people that you like legitimately would not be here today had you not done what you did.
That's correct. Yeah.
100%.
Mhm.
And I am so sorry for everybody that lost a loved one out there. I don't wish that on anyone.
No.
But the fact of the matter is you guys were out there and you did save people in all the environment and the what you had to deal with.
Yeah, I think there's tons of stories, probably lay people too, that were just out helping. But it definitely is a testament, I think, to how of the preparation in the state of all the rescue resources, both in training, individual training of how to handle these tough situations, but then also interagency training,
Yeah.
so that we can pick up a phone and call and say, hey, Coast Guard, we need your helicopter about 90 minutes inland. Can you do that?
And they're like, let me look at a map. There's no water over there. Oh, wait, no, it's coming. Yep,
That's
we're
right.
on our way.
Yeah, totally. You can call DPS and they're like,
Yeah.
yep, we're on our way. We'll get there as soon as we can.
That is so awesome. Brian, how long were you actually there? How long were you on scene? Like, or there helping?
Yeah, I was deployed a little over a week. We had helicopter assets out there for several weeks. And
Several weeks.
Yeah. So,
Oh my gosh.
once the rescue phase turns into a search phase, and then the search phase kind of includes the recovery component, then the next phase for the helicopters was moving search and rescue teams and supplies in and out of the area. So we were, especially in the Kerrville and Marble Falls areas, we were searching that river for the fire chief that had washed out. We were picking up teams of like 10 or 11 search and rescue personnel plus a canine, dropping them into the creek, and then picking up another team that had searched a segment, moving them back to the command center.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, one of our swimmers became kind of the de facto search manager to try to choreograph this whole thing with hundreds of volunteers that were all out there searching. So we're doing work like that. We're moving all kinds of supplies into Kerrville. We were flying chainsaws and water and all this donated stuff from the Burnett Airport down into Kerrville, and then just hours and hours of search.
Wow.
Low and slow, looking for trees, and then sending grids of bodies or whatever else we found.
Damn, man. Week. You were there for a week, and then weeks, helicopters were there flying, searching.
Yep.
14 days there. Boats were there.
They swapped out boat teams. We were there 14 days, but boat teams continued to be there for additional weeks after that. I don't know that exact number.
Yeah, on the
Wow.
Helo and the boat side, the task force is good about rotating staff in and out to support the mission so that you have a constant presence, but you move people in and out of the position.
Especially since this was such a unique situation where, ideally we're going for rescue. And this was a very short window of rescue and then a very long, sad window of recovery after that. So it was good to swap out teams when they did.
Man, awesome. You guys, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your perspective of this. Again, I hope there's information I learned today that I did not know. And wow. Well done. Well done, you guys, to you and all your crews that were working hard out there. Thank you again for sharing all your hard work. And again, Texas Task Force 1, you guys, man, don't hold the stops out, man. It's go time when they call you guys pre-staged everywhere. Actually, I think Brett even said today, like, hey, we're going to be on standby this weekend. I'm like, are you kidding me right
we
now?
just got an activation today.
Yeah, like it never stops.
Yeah.
Well, keep doing what you're doing. My last question before you let you guys go is with what you saw out there, and I'm gonna bring it to that in particular incident because you said it multiple times like you had never seen anything like that before. I imagine, Brian, you were about the same. It's such a rare event like that. Is there a piece of advice that you think of that pulling out of that you could pass on to everybody else? Like if you see something like this is what I would do again, or I would do different.
Yeah, I think for the boat teams, we will never have the opportunity to train necessarily in water that's that debris filled, but doing dangerously realistic training to make yourselves hard to kill allowed the boat teams that did push it to the limit and past to be able to succeed and to come back without having any rescue or injuries or fatalities during the incident. So just that training piece is so vitally critical.
Awesome. And I love the fact that you guys are allowed to do that training. That's a shout out to everybody at Task Force and the state of Texas that allows you guys to go out and train. Hats off.
Yeah,
well done.
It's a shout out to the local agencies who support it
Yep.
with personnel, and to Texas Task Force 1 and the state of Texas as a whole. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's really good, Cliff. I mean, I think the realistic training is super crucial, like we did today. Getting in, Brett told you before you climbed in that tree, Jason, this is the most dangerous thing we do.
Yeah. He's like, this is on you. You get hurt, it's on you. I was like, yes, sir.
Yeah, that's right. So that's really good. I think the other piece of it, particularly on the Helo side, and I'm sure you had it on the boat side too, is just the crew integrity piece of knowing how to trust each other for each of the little parts of the job. So
absolutely,
we just sort of obsess over these little details about how we enter and exit the cabin, how we hook up. And then those things begin to fade as you just learn to do your job and to trust, your partners to do all their little details they're obsessing over. Right. So that way, when you get to something you've never seen before, you're still sort of breaking it into a series of little tasks that you've done and that you can kind of brainstorm with your team, your crew, to say, how are we going to do this? And so that everybody feels like they have a voice to say, this is a good idea. This isn't a good idea. There was a time when we were making an approach and we were several days into it. We had a SAR team in the back, and it was probably our 5th or 6th, SAR team for that day. We were just moving in, moving out. And we're starting final into this LZ, on the side of the river with trees and stuff. And we were just kind of like chit-chatting. And the hoist operator was kind of the junior guy on the crew. And he felt comfortable and said, hey guys, sterile cockpit. And everybody straightened up, right?
Yeah.
And as soon as we landed, the W5 that's flying is like, dude, I'm so proud of you for saying that, like, he's like, that is
totally.
Exactly what you should say.
Yeah.
But that's how you build that crew integrity.
Totally.
Is you check your ego at the door. You affirm people for doing the right thing, and you build that trust that says, you know what, you can call me when you think I'm about to do something that's stupid. And I'm going to affirm you for that instead of, making fun of you or mocking it. And I think those are the pieces that go into being able to do something that you've never done before.
Yeah. Yeah. Right on, man. Hey, thank you guys again for coming on. Great piece of advice for all that. I will say, I'm kind of, my final words are for everybody that is out there, all the family members that are lost. My sympathy goes out to everybody. I truly mean it when I was saying prayers for all of you guys and everybody that was down there working.
Yeah, we appreciate that, Jason. Yeah. Thanks.
For sure.
Thanks for letting us tell the story.
Heck yeah. Right on. Well, I know you guys got to get out of here, and I appreciate you coming on. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, we are out of here.
Go.
Now it's time for me to pull chocks and take off. But before I go, I'm always looking for the memorable rescues that people have done. If you have one that you're willing to share or know somebody who has a story, please feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to highlight it here at the Real ResQ. For everybody that is standing by for that SAR alarm, remember, those in distress are praying for a miracle. They are going to get you. So until next time, fly safe and swim hard. Thank you for joining me today here at the Real ResQ Podcast, powered by Vertical Helicast. We'd also like to say thank you to our sponsors for this episode.
Breeze Eastern. For over 80 years, Breeze Eastern has designed and manufactured battle-proven aerial rescue hoists, winches, and cargo hooks. Each product is carefully crafted to support demanding mission scenarios, ensuring the job gets done safely and efficiently. Visit them today at www.breeze-eastern.com. Axnis. The Axnis P&G wireless ICS system delivers cutting-edge wireless ICS technology to any aircraft as a fully integrated system or as a carry-on, carry-off mobile base station. The P&G wireless system is the right solution for any mission.
And Ready Bar, originally made for astronauts. now designed for first responders and built for you. This high-performance meal bar provides complete nutrition without the sugar crash. A must-have for any helmet bag, swimmer bag, or everyday pack. Get yours today at getreadybar.com and use the promo code RESQ10 for 10% off. Ready Bar, zero crash, all fuel. Are you doing okay? Great. Doing great. Hurt? Okay, good. I'm gonna have this go right above your head. Okay. You put your arm straight up like this. Yes, arm straight up. Yes. Very good. I want you to hold right here. Both hands. All right, very good. Now we're gonna hold this one right here. All right, ready to go? Yeah. Very good. Stay just like you are. Hold right here. Keep your head in. Don't grab a tree. Got it.